Hey there, Steve Rubis, the Fix It IRO. Today we want to talk about the idea of content curation and investor relations. So when I was an analyst, I covered Netflix back in the day, which was like 2008, 2009, 2010. Great stock, and what really sold me on the Netflix business model and story was content curation. Specifically, Netflix was focused on finding long-tail films that you were not likely to watch unless their recommendation engine provided it. So let's give an example. When I was dating my wife, at the time girlfriend, she came up with two DVDs. One was Grey Gardens, which is the movie about the Kennedy girls who live in the Hamptons in the dilapidated house. And the other was Cocaine Cowboys. So my wife says to me, hey, let's watch Cocaine Cowboys. And I was like, I want no part of this. And watched it, and it turned out to be the favorite documentary that I had ever seen, and subsequently watched it hundreds of times. And this was the story that really sold me on Netflix. Once I had this experience with Cocaine Cowboys and knew that, oh my God, this was the greatest documentary I had ever seen, that's when I knew Netflix was a real company and knew that it was going to be successful. Clearly, I had no idea that it was going to be a $300 billion company, but by using it and understanding the content curation, I could get excited about it. So let's now think about content curation in terms of investor relations. I think one of the primary jobs of an investor relations officer is to be the Netflix of your company for investors. So what does that mean? That means that your job is to provide content curation for the investor community. That means that you need to have an investor deck that curates the important pieces of information that's either buried in your 10K, which no one reads, or is in some other filing, or is talked about in the earnings call, or is published in a press release or earnings release. You need to provide an investor deck that compels an investor to an action, hopefully buying your stock, illustrates the key pieces of information about your story, highlights how your story is better than others, typically through an MVP slide like competitive benchmarking. And all of this is achieved through content curation. You have to know what pieces of information are most compelling to the investor community, and you need to be able to figure out a way to highlight those compelling pieces of information in an efficient and timely manner through investor materials. That's your investor website, so think of a good investor landing page, a great investor deck, must-see TV investor call, an earnings deck that shows how your numbers are changing over time. And ultimately, you get the most out of this content curation if you make it very easy to find, highlight the investor materials that you want investors to digest regularly in order to understand the story. And this is really the true path to successful investor relations. I think if you provide the content curation with strong investor materials, that's where you really see a supercharging of your investor relations program. With that, if you know people who need help with investor relations, please send them my way. I would love to help people. And at Rafficchio Investor Relations, if we work with you, we think your stock is worth more money. Thank you.